At the fantasy-free economics blog, economist James Quillian explains complex economic and political issues in just a few sentences. James also teaches natural law. If you like these messages, subscribing to the Fantasy-Free Economics channel will ensure others see them. Here is James Quillian.
Hi, I'm James Quillian. How does a person with an average IQ debate a genius? The first criteria is that the ordinary person who is debating the genius must be right. I can't think of any good reason for trying to prove we are right when we're wrong. So if the genius is on the right side of reality, let the genius have his piece. Generally, that is not true, especially in the field of economics. The highest wages in the world are paid to smart people who engage in the pretense of knowledge for profit. What natural law tells us is that power corrupts. Does power actually corrupt? Does absolute power corrupt absolutely, as it is said that it does? Does a little power corrupt a little? Natural law says that all power does corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. A little power does corrupt a little bit to somewhat. I do not know of a soul who will take the other side and say that power does not corrupt and that natural law is wrong. Nature gives the highly intelligent an advantage over other people, and they are likely to use that advantage for personal gain. Acting on self-interest is completely rational. If super smart people use their intelligence advantage to exploit others, we should not judge them for giving in to that temptation. Those of us who have smaller, more industrial type brains do not face that same temptation. Never judge someone for giving in to a temptation you do not have to overcome yourself. Lying is one of the survival tools in the human survival toolbox. Do not be surprised when lies are told for personal gain. So when a genius is debated, especially one with national prominence, there is a high probability the genius is being paid for the pretense of knowledge. Pretending to know for profit is a smart person's cash cow. Some geniuses never indulge in that available cash cow. Their life's work is often more important to them than our financial gains. Here are some of those kinds of geniuses. There was Albert Einstein, there was Linus Pauling, Louis Pasteur. Brilliant people can be sociopaths and psychopaths. Many truly smart people like Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin emerged in the World War II era. Now, there's nothing intrinsically moral or immoral about being highly intelligent. Different geniuses use their advantages differently. Now, all that is necessary to win an argument with a genius is to show that his or her argument is based on a lie or some erroneous assumption. So, how do we find a genius who is engaging in the pretense of knowledge for profit? Well, who works under the thumb or in conjunction with politically powerful people with political agendas? That is easy. We just locate them and take our pick. Any of that kind is almost certainly paid for the pretense of knowledge. Pretense of knowledge is a polite term for telling lies. To prevail over a genius who is telling a lie requires only knowing the meanings of the words and sentences the genius uses. All a regular person has to do then is kindly explain what why what the genius is saying is not true. Normally, this is as simple as finding some part of his or her argument that is in conflict with natural law. In the battle between David and Goliath, it is normally assumed that David was at a disadvantage based on size. Goliath actually had no chance at all. David was perhaps the world's most talented and forceful and accurate sling user. All David had to do was fling a rock to Goliath's forehead and the matter was settled instantly. It works the same way when a genius is taken out of a debate by a person who is not nearly as intelligent. As an example, I'm going to explain how I would debate a genius-level economist like a Federal Reserve Board chairperson. Here are the three most recent. There is the current chairman, Jerome Powell. The two previous ones are Janet Yellen and before her, Ben Bernanke. Now, what do I know about these people? First, none of the three has any honest bones in their bodies. None of the other members of the Open Market Committee do either. So, to out-debate any of them, I would easily show that nothing they are doing in that agency has a chance of doing anything other than transferring income and wealth from the bottom of the food chain to the top. These kinds of folks are not the best economists in the world. They are the best politicians among our pool of credentialed economists. Personally, I'm a better economist than all of them put together. Mainstream economics does not even take natural law into consideration. With respect to aggregate economics, they make countless erroneous assumptions. Their theories require a belief in what I call the imaginary incentive to serve. John Maynard Keynes, the father of economic intervention, coined the term straw man. Keynes' straw man is an entity which does not exist in nature. The straw man is needed in theories that justify economic intervention in order to make the theories work out logically. The logic of a chain letter also makes erroneous assumptions about human behavior. The chance that a Federal Reserve intervention into an economy will benefit the entire economy is zero. It is as likely that you will make $1 million by starting the chain letter. So I would win a debate with any of these folks just by alluding to natural law and explaining that the success of their theories depend on believing in things which do not exist and erroneous assumptions. Make angel food cake and add sugar instead of salt and see what you get. These folks claim they have ingredients that don't exist. Now, here are some other points. Even if there was a chance that an economic intervention would be effective, to justify doing it requires a reliable forecast. Never mind that economic intervention can never do anything other than transfer wealth and income from the bottom of the food chain to the top. Economists have no means of making meaningful forecasts. Find a few and prove me wrong. You can't. No one can. The finest minds in the world are no better at making accurate forecasts than our astrologers. So when a Federal Reserve economist decides the economy needs stimulus, he or she is relying on forecasts that have no more chance of being right than what a room full of third graders would come up with. Find all of history's cases where a mainstream economist has made a reasonable forecast. Please don't take my word for this. Are you studying economics? Ask your professor to show you all of the accurate forecasts that economists have made over the years. Perhaps out of all of them, maybe 3 can be found, if that many. There's one more point. Governments cannot and do not make economic decisions. They just can't. Governments make political decisions. Even if stimulus had a chance of improving the economy, which it doesn't, the plan would require an economic decision. A child in a candy store must economize in order to get as much candy as is possible for $5. Governments make political decisions. Political power determines how much of what people gain or lose when government decisions are made. Federal Reserve policy is always assumed to be devoid of personal interest and 100% objective. No such person exists anywhere in the universe. It is also assumed that self-interest disappears completely. Now, that's pretty true when anybody goes to work for the government. The self-interest is assumed to disappear. People who work in government are guided by self-interest, just as our people are in the private sector. It is assumed that a person or committee in government is making economic decisions, but that's completely impossible. So I would show that despite any sophisticated models and theories, that any of these theories that they're used in making policy, none of them have any utility to society because they are based on imaginary people and possess false or erroneous assumptions. So to prevail in a debate with a genius, the genius must be wrong, but chances are optimized by finding erroneous or false assumptions, by focusing on those and diffusing the genius's argument that way. Despite all the fancy words, statistics, all of their models they're all rendered meaningless. I'm James Quillian.